Hey guys, it's Slamius. In this video I'm just going to show you how to reduce the size of your build. I get this question a lot. A lot of builders ask me, like how can I reduce the build size? They have a lot of add-ons and their zip size is, you know, hey, yeah, my zip size is like 600 megabytes. Like how do I make that smaller? So I've wanted to do this for a while, like just make a video as to what I do to clean up my build and keep the size down. So I'm going to get right to it. I'm going to cover a lot. I'm going to try to make this video as short as I can, but to cover as much as I can. The first thing, okay, open up your build, and go to System, and then System. Make sure your settings level at the bottom here is either at Advanced or Expert. And then go to Add-ons, Manage Dependencies. Now, anything that's in here, let's just say you've done a few updates and you've removed a few add-ons that you decided you didn't want. A lot of those add-ons might have dependencies that are still in here, and instead of saying enabled, they'll say orphaned. So you can go ahead and uninstall them. Okay, like for example, let's just say I decided to remove Jarrell. Well, it's not going to automatically remove the artwork, the metadata, the module. It's not automatically going to remove those. So you have to remove those manually. You could either do it in File Manager or you can do it here. So that's the first thing you want to do is get rid of any orphan dependencies that might be taking up space in your build. Also, maybe possibly even tying up resources. And that's all I really do inside Kodi itself. So I'm just going to close it. And here I am inside my Kodi folder. First thing I usually do is I go into add-ons. And forgive me, but I'm going to be flipping to this view. I'm on my phone, so this is just easier for me. First thing I always do is clear packages. So you could just delete it. And right there, look at that, 100 megabytes gone. Here also, if you notice any modules, but doing that in Kodi, the manage dependencies should have gotten rid of all those. If you notice any though that are lurking, you can go ahead and just delete them. I'm scrolling all the way down though to the temp folder. Right now it's empty. Sometimes a temp file might get stuck in there, like something might be trying to download, only gets partial way, and then it kind of gets stuck in limbo. You can go ahead and just delete that temp folder. It's not going to hurt anything, just delete it. Okay, now this is my build. It's a Zonfluence build. I installed Aeon Silvo because there are a few things with Silvo that are different, and I know a lot of builders are using Silvo, so I figured I'd include that in the video. So I'll start with that actually. If you go into Silvo, and bear with me, it's been a while since I've really used Aeon Nox at all. If you go into backgrounds, a lot of these backgrounds you don't use, so you can Like, if none of these are, say, your custom backgrounds, and you know for a fact that your build doesn't use them, just delete them. So, just for an example, I'm just gonna go ahead and delete them. But I know a lot of these are gonna be your actual background, so by all means, do not delete them. But I'm gonna just delete them. This widgets folder. Pardon me. A lot of these you're just not going to use. If these are part of your build, you recognize a lot of these JPEGs, by all means leave them in. No big deal. We're trying to get rid of as many files that we don't need. Select all, delete. I'm just trying to zip through here. Go to extras, and you'll find a whole whack of stuff in here that you probably don't need, like intro. Definitely delete that if you don't use an intro. Smaller pings or what have you, and if you're not really unsure about them, you could just leave them in there. Like 64 kilobytes isn't going to bloat your build that much. Icons, like this stuff does get used, so I mean, like, you may or may not want to delete these. If you know for a fact that your build doesn't use any of these, go ahead, delete them. But a lot of, like, your generic icons are going to use some of these, so just be careful. Like, if you decide to keep them, like I said, most of them are just, as you can see, like about a kilobyte, so don't really worry too much about that. So that's all I'm really going to do with Silva. Like I said, I don't really use it. I used it years ago, and I prefer Zonfluence. So I'm gonna just to make sure, I'm just gonna kind of look through. Resources. The screenshots, you can delete them. They're only really used like when you're installing from repo. It just shows you some screenshots, so I find they're pretty much useless. So select all and delete. If you haven't already, replace these with your own. Or delete them, but I mean, that's like when you switch your skins. When you switch skin, it'll show your icon. So I usually just replace it with my own. Shortcuts. Nope, you definitely don't want to touch shortcuts. That's the meat and potatoes of your build right there. So that's probably it for Aeon Nox, Silvo, and Zonfluence. Go right to extras. I usually delete probably most of the stuff, like the holiday theme. It's going to overwrite your build if you enable the holiday theme. So it's basically useless to have. Intro, same thing. Like, if you don't have an intro, just delete it. These are just little pings for various stuff. Go on back. And language I don't usually touch, but I suppose if you know which ones you want to keep. I think it's English US, but don't quote me on that. But you basically don't want to touch it. If you have a public build, I mean, like, you're going to want all the languages in there because you never know, like, you know, which countries are using your build. Media. You can get rid of these three unless you've incorporated that somehow into your build. They're just alternate themes that come with Zonefluence. Keep the textures, XBT, very important. Back out. Resources. Same thing, like you got your screenshots here. You can replace your icon and fan art with your own. Just delete all them. Delete. And that's really about it for inside the add-ons, the skin add-ons. So back out. We can go back to add-ons. There's a few more things that I'll show you later on, but you want to go down to user data. Right away you can delete thumbnails, and that's a big one, 55. And then go ahead and click on database. Delete them all except add-ons 27. Definitely, like, if you delete your thumbnails, you want to delete the textures 13 for sure, but the one you need is add-ons 27 you want to keep. Oops. Okay, so back to user data. Sometimes, like going back to the add-ons folder there, the temp folder, like when something, you might get a temporary file stuck in all these little folders here, like save states. You might get a temporary file stuck in there. It's best to delete them to avoid any problems. In my case, they're not showing up right now, but they do a lot of times for me. So delete them. I like to keep the folders because some add-ons search for those folders. Okay, so I'm back to user data. Now click on add-on data. And basically anything that any data that, like, for an add-on that you know you don't need, like that the default settings are good enough, just delete. So joystick will repopulate on its own. Your wizard you don't need. The user installs it and then they select their own settings, so just delete it. Super favorites you probably want to keep, like if you've added your own super favorites. In my case, those aren't mine. They were added by a TV guide, and I don't need them. Metallic. You can delete this. I mean, it'll run a total setup for the user. I find that confuses a lot of users, and then they end up bugging me about it. So I just usually, if I know all my players, like if it's gone through the total setup with all my add-ons installed, then I know it has all the players, so I just leave it. Serene's one I always leave in there for the scrapers, because you have to manually install the scrapers. I do that for the users so they don't have to. And then just delete, delete, delete. Now YouTube, I'll probably make another video showing how to add YouTube to your excludes. Basically means like when you do a fresh install, like it'll skip over the YouTube add-on. And it won't delete their settings. However, if you leave that in there, and let's just say it's blank, it'll overwrite their, because I tested this, and it'll overwrite their API with the blank API that you leave in here. So delete it. If you've made any changes to resolve URL, for example, if you've checked use cache torrents only for the user, then you can leave that in there. I haven't done that. I stopped doing that a while back. Delete, 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 delete. I'm gonna leave Renegades for now, and I'll show you why in a second. Script.skin shortcuts you want to leave if you have Aeon Nox. Delete, delete, delete. Leave your skin settings there or it will mess up your build. So delete there, freed up 158 or 1.58. Now if you have a TV guide installed, you'll probably want to delete the add-on data for that. It saves a lot of backgrounds and logos and such. For this one, the Renegades, I do have settings saved that I want it to keep in there. So I basically just delete everything but that. Uncheck it and delete. And 35, like yes, you do want to go in there and delete some of these if you want to decrease your build size, if you have a TV guide installed. So that's that for add-on data. Now I'll go ahead and show you, for me that's like a bare minimum. Usually want to delete your favorites because you'll have a bunch in there, and then users will be like, how do I get rid of all these favorites? Boom, gone. If you have your own RSS feed, you leave it there. You can basically leave all this. I mean, sources, it's nice to have the sources in there for future use. But I'm going to go back to add-ons, and I'm just going to show you, I'm going to try to make this quick, how to dramatically reduce your build size. Okay, a lot of guys will go ahead and delete add-ons, and then the user has to, like when they click on the shortcuts, it'll prompt them to install the add-ons. I don't like to do that. For starters, like if the repo goes down, they're not going to get the add-on. And secondly, to me, it's just kind of annoying to have to go ahead and install the add-ons like that. I'm not saying it's incorrect to do it. You will dramatically reduce your build size if you do, but there is another method that I've been using, and it's been working really well for me. So I go ahead and I search for art, and it'll pull up all the scripts for artwork. So let's just take a look at, say, Jarell. we'll just take a look at the size. And it's 23 megabytes. Okay, well that's a lot, really. So now I've had guys telling me, just go ahead and delete the artwork folder and it'll repopulate when you load up Kodi. And I tested that, and sure enough, it did not repopulate by itself. So it was just using generic Exodus, like the original artwork, and not the custom artwork that the devs put into it. But a way around that, so I just open up the script.jrel and I open up addon.xml, and I just go ahead and lower the version number and save. So what'll happen is when Kodi loads up, it's going to scan for updates, and it's going to see that, oh, there's an update available, like there's a higher version available for Jrel artwork, and it's going to update it. So do that, and then go ahead and delete the resources folder, which is where all the artwork is kept. It works. Dramatically reduced my build size doing that. Like almost rate and a half. Like, just go through each one individually, see how big they are. Some of them are small, like a couple kilobytes, so you won't have to do it. Just rinse and repeat. Do that for all the ones that you want. Also, under the same philosophy, I do a search for meta, and usually it's the same add-ons. Like Jrel, for example, we'll take a look at the file size for that. 14. Well, that's 14 megabytes is 14 megabytes. That adds up quick. So open her up. Open up the add-on XML. Lower the version size. Well, it's 1.0.0. So I have to go all the way over and 0.0.1. Save. Delete the resources folder. There's one more I'm going to show you. Well, a few actually, but and it's specific to different skins, such as Aeon Nox, but it's I'm trying to remember. Bear with me, it's been a while. But these resource.images record labels do the same thing. Like, check the size on that. Properties, 7 megabytes is 7 megabytes. Like I said, that adds up. Lower the version number, save. I used to delete these without lowering the version number, but and it's a textures XPT, really. But you can do the same and just delete the resources folder. It's the same thing. Oop. And there's a few of them. There's this Zonfluence one you want to keep. Actually, if you go in there, there might be a few backgrounds in there that you don't use. Go ahead, delete them if you want. That's fine. But that's where the backgrounds are kept in Kodi 18 for Zonfluence. But this Images Studios, same thing. Just go ahead and delete the resources folders. Uh, that's about it. Like, if you want to take it one step further, you can, and I can't really do it on Android because it doesn't do a proper search. But if you just go into your add-ons folder and do a search for .pyo, pyo. Oh, what do you know? It actually pulled up a bunch, so I could just show you. Just delete them all. Select all and delete. I've never really had a problem leaving them, but it is politically correct to go ahead and delete them. And that's about it, guys. Like, I'm sure there's more that, you know, other guys can teach you. And if you know more, hey, go ahead, leave a comment. If you have any questions, by all means, leave a comment, and I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. From here, guys, it's just add-ons. Okay, if you have a splash in your media folder, you'll want to zip that up too. I don't, so add-ons and user data, nothing else. Zip that up and you'd be amazed how much smaller your build will be if you follow all these steps. So I hope this helps you guys out. Please put a like on the video, subscribe, ring the bell. Have yourselves a good day. Happy building.